the footage, you can see that we are performing with the installation of the second immersive tube. We have started the job by 8 a.m. this morning. We have the ships and also other facilities in operation, and by 8 a.m. everyone's in duty, and now we are watching the floating fleet. And with a distance of around 100 meters to the ship of 0301, there are other ships forming a floating fleet. For example, the two gray color rectangular ships, they are for the installation of the immersive tube today. For the installation ship, they have no motors. So for the transportation mission, they are carried out by those black and white smaller boats. So they will provide the driving force for the installation ship, the gray ones, and then we're gradually lowering down the second immersive tube. And together they will travel around 800 meters to the designated seawater area. And currently they are very near to the designated spot for the installation. And the two white and black smaller boats are driving forward the gray ones. Together, we have 6 boats of driving forces, starting by 8 this morning. We expect to take in total 90 to 120 minutes to complete this pooling process. So with the towboat, we can move the immersive tube and also our installation ship. And the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel is the first cross-sea tunnel built in the northern part of China. And it's also the first time for us to accomplish such a complicated and challenging mission in northern part of China. Around 3 months ago, we have started with the installation of the first immersive tube in this area. And back then, it has taken nearly 30 hours to accomplish the installation of the first immersive tube. And today, we're about to do with the second tube installation. And what about the total length of today's immersive tube? It has a standard length of 180 meters, and the weight is quite heavy. It's up to nearly 60,000 tons. So that is really a heavy weight, as much as 60,000 tons. We have to lower this heavy part of the immersive tube down to 26 meters underwater. And the whole project is very challenging because you know that weight equals to one of the aircraft carrier. And today we have also invited Zhang Haiying, the chief engineer for this project. So Mr. Zhang, as we can see that there is a gap between the two gray installation ships, and that space is for the second immersive tube. Because we call them immersive tubes, so they have a very heavy weight. So will they be driven totally by the towboat, or they will just flow by? Because the installation ships, as is explained before, they don't have any motors, so they should be driven by the smaller boat as the towboat. And there's also a heavy weight dragging them down. And for the immersive tube, in the future, they will serve as the links of the cars traveling undersea. And they can also be floating on the surface of the water. And it's like the submersible. When we inject the water inside, then they will be lowered down into the sea water. And if we get the water out, then they will be able to float on the surface of the water. So it's quite difficult for us to make the immersive tube to drag them around. And we also have to depend on the buoyancy of themselves. And today, we have already calculated all the conditions in order to allow this installation. For example, the climate conditions, the temperature, the weather. It's after days of studies and also observation that we have finally decided to make this day and this window time the installation period. As we can see this morning, we have a very peaceful surface of the sea, and the weather is also very pleasant. It's a good time for us to realize the installation of the immersive tube. So now I'd like to ask my colleague to play a footage, an animation prepared by the engineers. So today we're about to install the second immersive tube to 26 meters undersea. And this depth is quite impressive, though it's not yet to the bottom of the sea. So from this footage, you can tell that today we should realize a very precise docking between the first and the second immersive tubes. So we should realize this very precise docking, as precise as to the level of the centimeters. How can we make sure that it will be precisely docked? We have a control system. For example, we can measure the position and also other parameters with different parts working at the same time. Within this controlling system, we can make sure that the two separate parts could be docked together without any error. And also for the authority in charge of the management, you have a very tight agenda for this year's construction. Throughout the whole year, you will have to put more than 9 to 10 sections of the immersive tubes into the water. We have to guarantee at least 9 installations of new immersive tubes. And if possible, and if we have enabling conditions with the weather, we will try our best to put the 10th immersive tube into the water. So that's around 1 part per month. And we also have to accelerate the pace of our work. And for the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel, it's the first cross-sea tunnel in northern part of China. Compared to the previous construction projects you have realized, including the Hong Kong, Macau, and Zhuhai Bridge, what is so special about this time's Dalian Bay undersea tunnel? First of all, this time we have moved the construction site to the northern part of China. So in winter, it's especially challenging for us due to the freezing temperature. And also for the geological conditions, it's also different from southern part of China, where we have built the Great Bridge. And we have to study very carefully the rock base Just like we are constructing a house in the rural part of the country, then we have to first have an idea of the local land condition, the rock, the geological conditions. And we have to make the explosion among the rocks and later remove all the remainings of the rocks in order to continue with the construction. So on both sides of the river, on the banks, you have also carried out long hours of preparation work. And everything should be put into place in a very precise manner. And also for the administration of the maritime affairs, they have enforced a regulation of the traffic in the nearby areas. Yes, exactly, because we have to ensure a very good environment for the construction. Around this part of the seawater, usually we have plenty ships traveling around, but at this moment for the construction, in order to guarantee the safety during the construction and installation process, we have to avoid non-necessary traveling of other ships. And currently we can see that our towboats are still working. And by midnight tonight, we can start the final docking between the first and the second immersive tubes. And we could not go closer to the towboats and also the installation ships. Could you please tell us how many people are there on board? Around 100 people, and everyone has its own duty. Just now we have compared the two different construction projects between this Dalian Bay undersea tunnel and also the Hong Kong-Macau-Zhuhai Bridge. So the biggest headache for you is the cold temperature. And also other difficulties in the design of this immersive tube. In order to tackle with the freezing temperature, to overcome this problem, we have to make some innovation with the materials used in the immersive tubes, to add up some more special ingredient, the other materials, to make them more resilient to the low temperature. This heavy cold in northern part of China. And we have also carried out some preliminary exercises in order to get used to this whole process of the docking and installation of the immersive tubes. Thank you very much, our chief engineer, for all this information about challenges and also difficulties that you have met in the construction. And this Dalian Bay undersea tunnel today has welcomed the second immersive tube installation. It will take more than 20 hours, and for the rest of the year, we can expect some other new paths to be put into the water and also be connected with the previous installations. So why it is so important and also interesting to construct this Dalian Bay undersea tunnel? As we know that this city, Dalian, is a very important city in northern part of China. It has a total population of 6 million. This is part of the city map. For north and south, we have the Shenyang-Dalian highway. This is the only high-speed track connecting one exit of the city, and they also have the Donglian Road and also the Donghuai Road. Those are the two only existing tracks connecting the northern and southern parts of the city. About 7 years ago, the local administration of transportation has already carried out a real-time observation. Every hour, they have more than 5,500 vehicles traveling around. However, the utmost capacity of transportation on the 2 tracks are only 4,000 and more vehicles per hour, so you can imagine how heavy is the traffic congestion on the 2 tracks connecting the northern and southern parts of the city. For the peak hours in the workdays and also during the holiday seasons, if you want to travel on those 2 roads in order to get in or out of the city, it will take more than 1 hour. If you run into a traffic jam, sometimes you have to wait even more hours on the road. So we can say that the 2 roads, they are under heavy pressure for the delivery of the vehicles. How could we guarantee the daily life of the people and the well-being of the citizens in the Dalian city? We have decided to construct the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. This March year, there will be 18 immersive tubes to form the undersea tunnel, and the undersea tunnel will be later connected with the land tracks. This is the 3rd track of transportation to connect the south and north points of the city. By 2023, the whole undersea tunnel will be put into operation. By then, if you want to get into or out of the city, it takes only 20 to 30 minutes. So that is why we have decided to construct the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel, and you can see what is the role and how important it is for us to construct the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel, and it can significantly help to improve people's well-being and also help them to save more time in the traveling in the city. And now we are installing the 2nd immersive tube around that part, and gradually it will be extended with more immersive tubes adding up. Until now, we can do the calculation. The total length of this Dalian Bay undersea tunnel is 5.1 kilometers. This would be the first cross-sea tunnel in the northern part of China. And the 2 installation ships, they are carrying our 2nd immersive tube. They will travel in total for a distance of 800 meters in order to reach the installation site. Just now, I have talked with Mr. Zhang Haiying, the chief engineer of the construction project of the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. He has made an analysis about the weather conditions and also the water conditions. We have already carefully calculated all the conditions constraining the construction of our project today, and everything is in place, and we can expect a very successful installation of the 2nd immersive tube today. We always have to bear in mind the cold weather in the northern part of China. The construction group has spent more than 3 years for the designing of the project, and gradually they have also come up with new ideas about the solutions in order to cope with the other challenges brought by the local conditions. For Liaoning province, where Dalian city is located, and Dalian is also the 2nd largest city of the province of Liaoning. We have a very big and old industrial base here, and revitalization of the Dalian city would mean a lot for the rejuvenation of the development of this province. If we can have in the future the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel, this will absolutely help to revitalize the development of the old industrial base and also boost up the economy and social development of the city. And as is mentioned before, in order to guarantee the safe construction of the second immersive tube, today we have the traffic control on the sea surface. We have only our installation ships and also the towboats at the spot. For the other commercial ships, they are not allowed inside this area. In normal days, we would expect to see a lot of commercial ships working here. They belong to different enterprises, but they have made this sacrifice to stop temporarily their activities around these days in order to allow the safe and successful installation of the second tube installation. And we have invited Mr. He Lujun, the Deputy Director General of the Local Administration of Maritime Affairs. How long will it take for the installation? It will take around 24 hours, so it's about the whole day construction. For the floating transportation and the transferring, and until the final docking of the two parts of immersive tubes, we have to guarantee that we have a enabling environment here, so we have to block this area from traffic for 24 hours. From the radio telecommunication system, we can hear the messages all day long. Yes, exactly, because we have to send the messages of warning to the other coming ships for them to select another pathway, so they will not run into this construction area, and we can keep the whole water surface very peaceful and also unimpeded. Where are we now? We are here. We will drag them out and turn the direction and finally realize the docking here. This is the direction of the total tubes. This is the main navigation road. Because we have several towboats carrying the installation ships and also the second part of the immersive tubes, that's why we have to occupy for some time, like 24 hours, the main transportation, the main navigation road. That's why we have to ask the other commercial ships to stop temporarily. They are traveling through this way. Since it's a major navigation pathway, if we don't do this traffic control, then we may expect to see some risks brought by the coming commercial ships. So, for ordinary people, they may not fully understand if you don't give them explanations, because they think it will not be the collided accident among the ships, but actually if there are some more commercial ships coming into this area, there will be some small waves and fluctuations carried by them, and this will also have a negative impact on the installation of the second part of the immersive tube. If there are fluctuations of the waves, it will disturb the normal installation, because we have already the natural waves. If we have other extra ships coming into this water area, then we will have accumulation of the fluctuations of the waves. This will make our task of installation even more difficult. That's why we have decided to install this 24-hour lockdown measures in this water area. We also have the ships of the guardians. They are in place in order to send out the warnings to the coming commercial ships. We also have the two circles of guards. For example, the fishing boats and some other smaller boats, maybe they have not yet received our message of the lockdown measures for 24 hours. They may accidentally run into our water. So that's why we have put in place the two circles of guards. For the crew team, we have 10 people. And most of the crew team members, they are from the Dalian city, so they are the natives. So you can feel the necessity by yourselves for the construction of the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. Yes, exactly. In these days, it's quite difficult for us to travel around the city, especially during the peak hours. And we also have the traffic control on our vehicles according to their car plate number. We have two existing pathways connecting the northern and southern parts of the city, but they can no longer meet the needs of the people for the traveling. That's why we have decided to construct the third option for our people, that is the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. Once the project is completed, it will help to save you a lot of time. Because currently, if you take the Dalian road, it will take about 1 hour to complete this traveling during the peak hours. But once we have the completion of the project of the undersea tunnel, it will take you only 1/4. So now you can save more time and also improve the quality of your daily life. Now we have noticed that the towboats are dragging forward our installation ships and also the immersive tube. Together they will travel for 800 meters from the port to the installation site. And this docking installation process has to be very precise, as down to the millimeter level. And the whole construction and installation will be completed at a depth of 26 meters underwater. And now the tides are fading away. And around noon, there will be further tides coming. As you can tell, we have carefully calculated our schedule for the construction and also the transportation of the immersive tubes. As is mentioned before, this year marks the 14th five-year plan period. First year, and we are in construction for the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel in order to relieve the heavy traffic congestion on the road and in the city of 6 million people. During peak hours now, in order to travel between the northern and southern points of the city, it will take them about 1 hour and sometimes even more. Starting by 2017, we have designed this project of the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. And talking about the progress of the construction, back to 2020, in July and in December, the city has suffered from 2 waves of COVID-19 pandemic outbreaks. With the pandemic, It was quite challenging for the people to stick to their working positions and also continue with the construction. And now we are racing against the clock in order to accelerate our progress of the installation and construction of the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. According to the authority in charge of the construction, the Urban Development Management Authority, they expect to install 9 to 10 immersive tubes into the sea, and it means every month we can expect one new installation down to a depth of 26 meters, and everything is going on peacefully.
那这条隧道建成之后，它会是一个什么样的样子？我们可以借助一段动画可以看一下，而且这个动画做的是非常的巧妙的，就是呢，它做了一个剖面图，不仅仅画出了一个线路，还是可以看到大连海底隧道在海底的一个深度，这个隧道是如何延展的，在里面双向六车道又是个什么样子？其实的话。 真的，大家非常期待的就是2023年全线贯通之后，那个时候大连人出行的这种幸福指数啊，肯定会暴增啊。
would be extended underwater and how the 6 lanes of vehicles would look like. Without any doubt, by the end of the construction, as around the year 2023, the well-being of the residents now in the city of Dalian would be significantly strengthened and improved. Currently, several towboats are dragging forward our installation ships as well as the second part of the immersive tubes. And considering the length, 180 meters of the second part of the immersive tube, we have to move to the designated spot in order to have a very precise docking between the second and the first part of the immersive tube. On the 1st of March, we have witnessed a very heavy snowfall in the city, and before that, we have also witnessed the freezing temperatures. And today, we have a much higher temperature, up to 11 to 12 degrees Celsius, and the weather conditions are also very pleasant and favorable. There's no big wind, and we also have very peaceful seawater surface. As the reporters, we are recording the progress of the major well-being related construction projects. For example, the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. And we are also taking a note of the progress of this representative major strategic projects completed in our country. Today, we have the capacity to realize such a construction project. It means that we have already progressed a lot with the science and technologies, and it can also be a showcase time for the confidence of the city of Dalian as a conventional industrial basis. In the future, we will continue to follow the progress of the construction of the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel. Now we have another towboat, black and white, traveling forward in order to give extra help to the dragging of the installation ship. But still, we have to maintain a very steady pace of the traveling in order to avoid any extra disturbance to the installation. We have to keep the seawater really calm. So every movement of the towboats and also the installation ships, as well as all the orders carried out by our crew members on board, are already pre-calculated and designed. I have received a question from our netizen. People are asking whether we can immediately put the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel into operation once we get all the 18 immersive tubes undersea. Actually, this Dalian Bay undersea tunnel would be connected with some mainland paths. By 2023, with the designed speed of traveling, we can guarantee that citizens in Dalian could travel into and out of the city in only 15 minutes compared to 1 hour or more of traveling time now. That said, you can understand the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel would significantly relieve the heavy traffic congestion on the road. And just now we heard the sirens to give the warnings to the ships passing by and also the smaller boats like the fishermen's boats. Maybe they have not yet received the information, but now they know with the siren, and this designated area would be blocked for 24 hours to allow the completion of this installation of second immersive tube. And also a small tip for all of you, if you are traveling by sea, you have to avoid this area during a 24-hour period of time. And this 60,000 tons of immersive tube would be docked with the first part already installed underwater at a depth of 26 meters. No errors would be allowed. All the process would be realized in a very precise manner down to the centimeter level. And by 2 to 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, we will complete the installation, and we will also run a test to see whether this docking is successful or not. So we are looking forward to tomorrow morning's result to see whether it is doing very well. So for today's program, we are reporting on the Dalian Bay undersea tunnel and the installation of second immersive tube, and that is the end.